Detroit. I can't hear you, Maggie. Detroit. I can't hear you, Detroit!
I grew up around music. It's my whole world. If you told 12-year-old me that one day I'd be working for Grace Davis, she's an icon.
This woman doesn't even know your last name.
She does, sometimes.
Stop. I'm not going to tell you guys you're great if you're not great. Do it again.
Damn, the girl still give me goosebumps.
Well, Grace, have you thought any more about the Vegas residency?
Actually, I think it's time I record a new album.
I mean, that's one plan.
What am I supposed to say to her? I'm just a personal assistant, but I'd love to produce your music.
Let me do my job and you do yours, which is get her coffee, Kleenex, Kotex, and whatever else the hell we've been paying you to do for the last 6 months.
I've been here for 3 years.
You get paid? I thought you were an intern.
My life is a joke! Ugh!
It's really bleak out there for middle-aged singers. In the history of music, only 5 women over 40 have ever had a #1 hit, and only one of them was black.
I've been feeling...
I know everyone is happy with me doing the same show every night. What if there's something more?
Grace, I didn't want to tell you or Jack, but I did a cut of your song.
Hey, I can hear y'all. Y'all know it's a damn microphone in there, right? All we got to do is play it safe and stack some money.
I will decide what I do next.
Is the food coming, sir?
We've been over this. We are not a drive-through.
Well, it should be. It could be.
Oh my God, is that Grace Davis?
No.
The world premiere is in your home on demand.
Happy holidays to the Pick TV network! Oh, keep watching Pick TV on Roku and the website Click and Play. The Pick TV Network.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Sid the Entertainer. I want y'all to check out Pick TV Network. That's right, Pick TV Network. They got 60 free channels on Roku. This is dope. They also started the brand new Coaching World channel at $9.89. So, if you are a content provider, you are a young business with an opportunity to build a platform where you can have your own show, do some programming, check out Pick TV Network on Roku. They got over 60 free channels for you to check out and also grow a business. Go and see them now. See the content. See what they have to do. Learn something. Check them out. All right? Pick TV Network. That's what I'm talking about. I'll holler.
We've all been hurt at some point, even abandoned. Many of us have done the hurting ourselves. We get to the point where we don't trust anyone, nor do we feel worthy of being loved by anyone. Then there's that one person who just doesn't give up on loving you. Their love is unconditional. Their love stays long enough for you to heal. And then they promise to never leave. That's love you can count on. God's love.
Hi everybody, this is David Evans, President Pick TV Network. I want to say thank you for tuning in to our brand new broadcast today. Hello America, we beamed it in from Chicago, have a special guest coming on. Everybody knows Brother O, everybody loves Brother O, and he's going to come and introduce our special guest from Chicago. Now, you want to chat in. Those who are watching right now, you can chat in on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, on Twitter, We are here on the Pick TV network. Breaking Live, Hello America is on the air right now. Let's tell the world to tune in to Hello America. Brother O, how you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm well. How you doing, Dr. Evans?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Recovering from COVID, man, it's a blessing, man. And you to be here to keep this ball rolling, man. We're almost at the end of another year. God has been good, man. And I want to say thank you. And you also been nominated 3 times on Pick TV Network for our show of the year. You know, our person of the year on 2 shows, Hello America and Prison Freedom Show. You can be honored Black Friday. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go get your award during the break so the world can see it, man. But you have a guest on, so let's get into it. It's all about her today. So it's on you, O.
All right, thank you, Dr. Evans, and it's good to have you back, man, from COVID. So today, everybody, I have a special guest. For those of you who are watching for the first time, my name is Orion Meadows. I am the host here. I help facilitate Hello America TV show. And then if you have been watching, you may have seen me doing the Prison Freedom Program show as well. But today, I want to talk about my guest, so I'm going to give her a formal introduction. And my guest today is Sydney Jackson. And Sydney is a local organizer, academic, and dance performance artist. She studied comparative race and ethnic studies and anthropology at the University of Chicago. Since she achieved that milestone, she has worked in an array of roles from teaching dance and mental wellness to community building. In 2017, she founded a nonprofit that provides after-school art education for students on Chicago's West Side. Convinced that dance is a medium that liberates and heals, she aspires to use the art form to create positive changes in the community and as a creative expression of activism against systems of oppression, exploitation, and discrimination in our society. So it is my pleasure to bring to you Miss Sydney Jackson. How you doing today?
Hi, I am awesome, and that was the most warm introduction I've ever received. So thank you for that.
Oh, I appreciate it. No problem. I mean, it's just I guess we believe are special.
I feel it.
Feel that way. We want our audience to know that the people that I have come on here, Dr. Evans, he has come on here. They're doing very important work. So we need to emphasize how important our guests are.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us about where you're from and your upbringing.
Awesome. Yeah. So I grew up in Oak Park, the first suburb west of Chicago. I attended public schools there my whole life. And then once I graduated high school, I went on to attend the University of Chicago for undergrad on a tuition scholarship, which was awesome. There I studied anthropology and race studies. And once I graduated last year, I moved back to Oak Park. I'm working on applying to grad school, but in the meantime, I'm just working at a lot of nonprofits and volunteering and writing, hoping to be a journalist, all that jazz.
Speaking about journalism, tell the people about where we met.
Yes. Okay. That's a wonderful story. So Orion and I met probably about a month ago now at what's called the West Side Writers Club. It was in the Austin branch of the Chicago Public Libraries, a beautiful room hosted by Kali. She is a local to the West Side of Chicago. She is a poet, an author, a wonderful artist. And that was when I first met Orion and a handful of other great local writers. And we fellowshipped, we talked, we ate some really good Jamaican food, and we locked in, and now we're here.
Yeah. And that's, because I'm not from the West Side, but most of the work that I do is on the West Side. Right. My father, his side of the family, they're from the West Side. But so I kind of have some roots, but that's not where I'm from. So, but that's why it was even such an honor to be part of that group and to actually even be a feature at the Front Porch Art Center, because I'm not from the West Side, but it's good that they acknowledge me because of the work that I'm doing over there. For those people that don't know, though, right? Because Chicago is one of those places where you have like subgroups or whatever. And sometimes South Side, West Side.
That don't mix.
Yeah. You know, so tell them a little bit about Oak Park, right? And then like the West Side.
Yeah. So my upbringing, I came from relative privilege. I grew up in Oak Park in the suburbs. I attended public schools that were considered great. But Oak Park, I've done a lot of research and writing on the history of Oak Park, because Oak Park has a very interesting history. While it is regarded nationally as one of the most successful models for integration and equity, it is one of the most internally segregated towns you will ever find. There might be a school like this high school I attended where there's 50% white students, 25% black students, 10% Latinx students. But if you go in the cafeteria, the white students sit together and the black students sit together. And that's kind of how it is growing up. I'm biracial. My dad's black and my mom is white. Right. And I have a twin sister. But we have different color skin, different color eyes. And so growing up in Oak Park did allow me certain privileges of being in this in-between space where it's okay to be both. And it's okay to enjoy some of the privileges of public education that not everyone had. But it was also acutely obvious growing up with Oak Park bordering the West Side in Austin that even though I was at 8 years old enjoying some of these wonderful things like public school, after school art classes, dance classes, that was not a reality for people just a few blocks away from me. And so I've done research on, there was a lot of shifts that happened in Oak Park from the 60s into the 70s. There was lots of housing ordinances. There was actually a quota that was called a block, where one of the models for integration in Oak Park was just trying to have one black family on each block. And I think that's interesting because now in 2022, the same block my parents have lived on my entire life, they are one of 2 black families on the block and always have been. So that is kind of how Oak Park's diversity works. It's palatable diversity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And it's just interesting to even know, right, that that's still kind of like in existence, that the plan has worked thus far. There only being 2 black families on your block.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm glad that you were able to give us that information, because a lot of people don't know about the history of Chicago and like the different parts of the city.
Yeah, and the suburbs around it.
Yeah,
like when the Black Panthers got kicked out from the West Side, they settled in Maywood. They still had the Hampton House there. There's so much interconnection between all of Cook County.
Right. Yeah, so thank you for that. So while you were at the University of Chicago, you studied anthropology and comparative race and ethnic studies. Why were you interested in those subjects?
Yeah, so I went to college just like everyone else. It was a means to an end for me. I went where I got a tuition scholarship. And when I went there, I knew it was a privilege to even be in an institution, to be in a funded program. And I knew I had to make the most of that privilege. I didn't just want to go to University of Chicago and study economics or engineering for 4 years like everybody else and get out. I wanted to really dig into the nuance of it being a extremely well endowed, wealthy institution in the midst of the South Side of Chicago. Like, let's talk about where this university existing and gentrifying this area and how this university as a structure interacts with the rest of Chicago. And let's talk about like our academics. So I chose comparative race and ethnic studies as a major, which is the program that houses African American studies, Caribbean studies, Latino studies. It is the only major offered out of hundreds of majors that does not have its own department. 0 professors, $0, 0 funding. But I wanted to go and still pursue the major because I really thought it was important to be in that type of academic environment where I could really dig into the deep questions about race and identity. It honestly was a little bit overwhelming and tormenting when you feel like some of your academic studies are so deeply entrenched in the things that you're already living and experiencing day in and day out. But some of the people I got to work with, some of the scholars I got to meet, and the networks that it opened me up to being at the University of Chicago were invaluable. It sucks, but people paid more attention to me because my email said at uchicago.edu. And so that's why I chose to go there as a means to an end.
Okay. You talked about how discrimination, segregation, and so forth. And I remember Dr. King was talking about how segregated Chicago was when he visited. Why do you think that Chicago is still so segregated today?
So we could talk about redlining, we could talk about white flight, but for me, it always comes back to 1919 here in Chicago. I don't know if you've read this book. I don't know if you've ever read anything by Eve Ewing, but this book is about the Chicago race riots of 1919. This was, I mean, that really set the boundaries between what was a Black area and what was a white area. And that emboldened white residents in Chicago to act violently to defend whatever they claimed as their territory. And 100 years later, that is still pertinent, I would say.
All right. So tell us about your work with the Chicago Youth Service Corps and the Planet Green Initiative. Tell us about that.
So those are actually two different things, but I'll talk about both of them. The Chicago Youth Service Corps, I work at a nonprofit called Kuumba Links. Kuumba Links is a hip hop education nonprofit. This summer, as a part of Kuumba Links, they have spoken word groups, footworking groups, groups that provide mutual aid resources and events. And this summer, I was tasked to help revive their performance ensemble. So as a part of that, we revived the group, but I also did some research and some writing and presenting to some commissioners in the city of Chicago to get the performance ensemble minted in as part of Chicago's Youth Service Corps. And that's because we don't just perform. We start with peace circles. We start with mental health check-ins, and we really try to build a sense of community in the studio that we then encourage every student to take home to them with whatever neighborhoods they're living in Chicago. Planet Green Initiative is another nonprofit I work at called 7 Generations Ahead. And there I provide, like for instance, I will be going around to tenants here in Oak Park and doing presentations about how people can sign up to get solar power sent to their apartments, and you get about 20% reductions in your electricity bill every month. And that's something that is really meant to be for Black and Brown residents here in Oak Park, because they do tend to be tenants as opposed to homeowners.
Okay, all right. That's a lot of information there, but it's definitely something that's needed. No, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm glad that you are involved in that work and that you're so passionate about it. So can you explain the intersection of dance and activism as forms of movement for those who might not have considered the correlation between the two?
Yes, I've danced my whole life since I was 3 years old. I've taken dance classes, I've performed, I've competed, and it's something that I hold very dear to my heart. At the same time, I do hold the tenet of activism and trying to better my community as very, very central to my core values. And I've really started to see the overlap between activism as initiating movement and dancing as the choreography or creation of movement. When I first planned and facilitated some of my first large actions in the summer of 2020 here in Chicago, where I was able to gather thousands of people for different protests or grocery food giveaways. And I started to realize that the work and the preparation that went into pulling off a protest that demanded police accountability or a pop-up farmers market on the West Side was much like choreographing a dance. And at the same time, I look at choreographing a dance as a healing opportunity. And so I'm starting to think about, okay, how are these actions and these movements that we're creating, how can they simultaneously be opportunities for healing, for releasing trauma for us, so that it's not just about the end goal, but the process of doing these things is pouring into us just as much as whatever the dance that we end up with or the event that we end up with, as much as that affects us.
Okay. And that makes me think about the song. I'm trying to remember who it was. Dancing in the Streets. I think it was Martha and the Vandellas.
Yes.
But no, and the thing about it is that it was talking about revolution. So that's when I had read that about you, that song came to my mind.
Yes. Dance is, to me, the most anti-capitalist form of resistance. It requires nothing but my physical body. It requires no money. It requires nothing more. And that I do understand that there is a bit of ableism in there, because not everybody is fully functional of their limbs and everything. But for anybody who chooses to dance, I really find that you can communicate sentiments that cannot be put into words, and you can communicate them to broader audiences than your words could ever spread to. And that's very revolutionary, as you said.
Yeah. And that's actually the next question I was going to ask you. Like, when you say there's an anti-capitalistic dance, right? Mm-hmm. I understand what you mean by that, because I was trying to think, like, what does she mean by that being anti-capitalistic? But I'm glad that you went ahead and you began to elaborate on it, because I was curious about that.
Yeah.
And, so for those who are watching, how is dance a means of healing and liberation?
For me, I started realizing how powerful dance was, truthfully, when I started going to parties and social events and seeing Black nightlife and how integral moving your hips and catching a rhythm and allowing your body to move to it, how integral that was to people's well-being, how cathartic of a release it is to be able to move one's body and feel something. To me, dance is alchemy. It feels like a recipe. It feels like I'm adding all these ingredients, and eventually my body transforms into whatever vehicle or mode of explaining or demonstrating whatever message or story I'm trying to tell. It's really about like shape-shifting is how I look at dance. And when I saw how important nightlife and dancing was to people, really like working class Black people, how necessary it is sometimes to have to get all done up and glammed up and embrace yourself. That's when I realized how healing dance was when I saw all of my Black brothers and sisters being free and releasing and becoming their true happiest selves to dancing.
And for some reason, the image of Kali came to mind.
Yeah.
Just talking, So everyone, this is Hello America. I'm Orion Meadows, and I'm live from Chicago with my colleague, Miss Sydney Jackson. And so we'll go to a commercial break, but we'll come back and we'll continue this conversation that we're having with my guests. So we'll see you when we come back.
Awesome. See you soon.
steady, and I started pretending that I knew you, and you knew me too. Oh, yes, you did, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's just like a road, and you were too shy, but you weren't the only, 'cause so was I. And I dreamed of you ever since. Now I built up my confidence, girl. Next time you come my way, I know just what to say. Can we talk for a minute? Girl, I want to know your name. Can we talk for a minute? Girl, I want to know your name.
I'm excited again for all of you watching the broadcast today, Pick TV Network. Special service, special presentation today, Breaking Live. Hello, America. He has a special guest on, and I'm just in the studio sitting back, relaxing. Brother O, this woman is amazing, man, that you have on today. She is, somehow we got to find a way to show her some of her roll-ins for her dancing, because she is one of the top persons on here. I can't wait for this interview to be seen over and over again, man. So let's get back into it.
All right, thank you, Dr. Evans. So, everyone, we are back. This is Hell America show on Pick TV Network, and with my guest today, Miss Sydney Jackson.
Hi.
And so we will proceed, and I just want to know what all forms of dance have you studied or found interesting?
So I grew up studying and performing ballet, tap, jazz, point, hip hop, lyrical, modern, contemporary, tumbling, cheer. I've done Irish dance. I did a little break dancing. I now mainly study dance hall, and that's what I perform, as well as Afro beats. And some West African dance. I'm also trying to learn Horton, which is a style of modern dance right now. I think that's about it.
That's a lot. That's not just about it. That's a lot. What forms seem to be the simplest, and which are the most complex to you?
Wow. The most complex, I might say tap dance. That's what I excelled the most at when I was younger. And there's a great tap group here in Chicago that's run by a man named Bro Barrett. It's called Mad Rhythms. They're a wonderful group, but tap dancing is beyond the physicality of it. It requires you to be a musician, and learning that music, like me learning tap dance, was different than ballet. It was not just standing at the bar, but it was my teacher giving me lists of jazz classics that I had to go home and listen to, or watching black and white videos of the Nicholas brothers and learning things like that. So I might say tap. The easiest, well, I wouldn't say the easiest, but hip hop, dance hall fall under street dance. So that's why I do work right now between the intersections of studio dancing and street dancing. And I would say like the easiest to fall into and to enjoy for me would be dance hall, but technically it can be just as tricky as tap dance. But I mean, if you don't tap dance and you put on tap shoes, it's going to sound horrific. Dance hall, you can go to the club, you can watch everyone else for 5 minutes, and you can start to do the movement yourself, you know?
Okay. Yeah, and that's I didn't know that you had studied tap, but I was gonna ask you about that, right?
Yeah.
But the thing, something that you said, I like with what we call like street dancing or whatever, it's informal.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so, yeah, in a sense, that would kind of make it easier. I understand. And I had the same like discussion with poets. Like a lot of the spoken word poets, they really kind of like use free verse. And free verse really doesn't have any rules. It's good to be able to use that. But what I try to emphasize is the importance of learning, being educated in a formal manner. Not that it is more important, right? That is better, but what it does is, I think, like to use Bruce Lee as an analogy, right, or an example, when he talked about a person having like different styles, being educated in different styles and knowing different rules when it comes to forms and formality, then you end up breaking the rule, but you understand that you're breaking the rule because you've learned it, and as opposed to a person that's just doing it and being unconscious of it.
Yes.
So when you are breaking the rule, when you're breaking apart, it's, how could I say, it's more, I don't know, sophisticated.
Yes. Yeah. More nuanced.
When you're breaking it, but not knowing that you're doing it. If you understand, it's a method to that
madness. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a person not knowing and then just going in. And so that's what I try to tell poets a lot, that you don't, like, for instance, learning haikus, villanelles, sestinas, and stuff like that. it's good to know what that is and to attempt to do it. And you may not adhere to it, but it's good to have that experience.
Yes.
So once you're exposed to these different forms, then it gives you more to work with when you are tapping into your creativity. That's what I believe.
Exactly. I mean, in dance, there is, there's been plenty of times where I've done a performance and I just went up and improv'd or freestyled. And that's because that's what that performance or that called for. But there's also something just as generative to preparing something intentional and using what you're explaining are like methods, knowing methods for also navigating that process. So it's not just erratic freestyleness. It's all right, I can follow this step and I can implement some of this knowledge and I can weave my way through. So I totally agree.
Yeah, because and I had to show that to a lot of the poets that I know, that especially that I know that are in those circles on Instagram.
Right.
And I breaking like a haiku. Most people know what a haiku is, I think. Right. But I won't even say a haiku, but a villanelle. Shoot them a villanelle. And then how complex it was. Doesn't look like it. And if you hear it, it's like, oh, that's not that great. I think it's Dylan Thomas. What is it? I'm trying to think of the title right now, but he had a villanelle, and I saw it all the time in all the anthologies. I read it, but then once I understood what he did, I was like, wow, that's complex.
Yes.
Even Sylvia Plath's, she had one, Metaphors, that she did. And once I understood what she did, it was a good poem. But once I understood what devices she was working with to be able to pull that off, I could appreciate it more.
This book by Eve Ewing, the 1919 book of poetry, she uses so many different devices. One of my favorite poems that she writes is taking an entire email that she received from her property management company and then like blacking out all the words except for the ones that she was then using to construct a story. There's so many different unique mechanisms for, as you said, explaining things, and it's our right to know these things, but education is unfortunately a privilege. Like it shouldn't be, but that's how it's accessed nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. And you think about how integral dance is to, just our people expressing themselves. We see it all the time. And then especially look at TikTok, right? All the different dances and challenges and so forth. But I'm sure that most of those people have not been exposed to what we would know as formal dance, right? And it would probably enhance their experience and their creativity to do so. Tap dance. Let's go back to that. Because I'm glad that you mentioned that group that
Mad Rhythms.
Yeah, because tap dance, you don't see too many people doing it anymore. And I was gonna bring that up, so I'm glad that you actually beat me to the punch. Why do you think that tap dance from what you know, why is it not popular and people don't aspire to learn it throughout the world now at this point?
So unfortunately, tap dancing has an undeniable historical tie to minstrelsy and minstrel shows. And tap dancing has even become a metaphor or a verb for catering to the white man. Like that's something that people will say, oh, you're tap dancing right now. Like you're trying to entertain a white person and like at the expense of losing your own dignity. And that's really unfortunate because that, again, like that is the same way, that's the same inaccurate characterizing of when people maybe see a woman in hip hop and she's dancing a certain way in her video, and they're saying, "Oh, well, she's doing this, so that's got to be the end all be all of what her hip hop art stands for." No, there's actually so much rich history to tap dancing. Tap dance is a very Black form of art. A lot of it goes back to also, truthfully, like when we were chained and brought over on the transatlantic slave trade. That wasn't tap dance that was done, but people don't know this. When Africans were brought over here and chained, they were forced to dance every single day on those slave ships as their form of exercise to keep them healthy. They were whipped and forced to dance and shuffle their feet and move. And that was the way that they kept them healthy, because otherwise they were just laying down for the majority of the time. So many of the dances that we do now in African American culture are rooted historically in our experiences, traditional experiences. But unfortunately, we have none of that knowledge unless we go digging for it.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, I guess, the ambiguity of dance, right? How it's used, and it can be used as a form of healing, being healthy, but then we also see the connections, the negative connotations as far as like with tap dance is concerned, right?
Yeah,
saying that a person is allowing himself to be I don't know, like I guess being submissive, right?
Yeah, right. Pandering to a white person.
Yeah, and so there's an ambiguity with that.
Yes.
And just the whole history, right? Because then you would think like, okay, well, if dance was used for this purpose, then I don't want to dance, right?
Right. Because I don't want to be playing into that.
Right. So yeah, that's interesting to even contemplate that. Blackface minstrelsy, that was something that I was really interested in for a while, so I had studied a little bit on that. And even Jim Crow, because we know about Jim Crow as a system, but jumping Jim Crow actually came from the blackface era,
right?
So that's an interesting study within itself when you talk about that. Something else that I wanted to talk about with dance. Some of the people who are the people that you are most influenced or inspired by in dance? And it could be throughout history. Let's start off with like historically, right? Who are the people that you are you feel are inspired by, or even aspire to attain a similar type of excellence?
Dance wise, I really look up to Catherine Dunham. Historically, I love the work that she did, and I try to put like a 21st century kind of spin on it now. Tap dance wise, I've actually been able to perform with the Syncopated Ladies before once, which is a tap group that exists now of predominantly Black women who dance, and that was so inspiring. I was really impressed there. And I mentioned before, but I am a dance hall dancer. So the dancers who I looked up to, they're called dance hall queens, DHQs. So a lot of my friends are actually DHQs. They might hold titles like South Florida Dance Hall Queen, International Dance Hall Queen, stuff like that. And I mean, I probably got a list way too long of the Black women in dance hall who I look up to, because not only do they use dance as a means of expression, they are also able to mobilize it as a means of socioeconomic advancement for themselves, to create for themselves, to provide for themselves and their families. And that I find very powerful.
Okay. Going back, because there was something else that I was thinking about when you talked about tap dance and its connection to the blackface minstrel shows. So there has been some people, presented this as an argument that, certain forms of hip hop as it is today can be can be likened to blackface minstrelsy, because we know that there were whites who were performers, and they had to. There were certain type of expressions and mannerisms that were associated with black people, and those performers were expected to, to express this, to demonstrate this while on stage.
Right.
Do you think now, like the hip hop and just with the culture and what's expected of it, right, to be violent and certain things, the stereotypes that a lot of our artists are, trying to uphold, do you think that would be akin to like with blackface, and even some of the white artists or non-black artists, right? They're expected to dress a certain way, to move a certain way, to use certain type of language. We know that we've seen some people use the N-word, right?
Right. Yeah. I thought that is Ryan, that is like a mind-blowing connection that you just dropped. I feel like that's a truth bomb. Yes, 100%. I think about that in the ways that it's glorified to wear chains around our necks and on our wrists and stuff. And I think, like, why do we want to be weighted down like that? Why do we feel like being weighted down by money like that is success? I do find that being akin to blackface, like you said, it's unfortunate, but it's trendy, just like minstrelsy was. It's trendy, it's entertaining, it's provoking, it makes people stop and gawk and stare, and it's inherently, even if people don't want to admit that they're entertained or that they like it, it's like some people's guilty pleasure almost,
Right. Yeah, definitely. And if you recall, the white blackface minstrels had to, they had to wear the black.
Head to toe, right? Be painted and tarred.
And so this was supposed to be the way that black people was an expression of the way black people looked, the way they carried themselves and so forth. But they also made the black performers also wear the black face, right? And so I'm bringing that up because it's like an analogy, because if you are a black rapper in hip hop, you are expected to act a certain way and to put out certain type of content by the record labels. And so because this is what a person that comes from the black community is supposed to do.
Right?
And so it's like blackface minstrel having to put on blackface. I'm already black, but you saying that I'm not black enough.
Right.
This
so let me do all this.
Supposed to look like.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it. I mean,
I think,
it's an argument. It's an argument. Just food for thought. But which style of dance would you like to learn and possibly incorporate in your work in the future that you have not learned yet?
I really would love to learn more West African like movement. The thing is hard for me. It's very like labor intensive. You got to be down, grounded, and I have a bad knee. I injured my right knee when I was 13. I popped my kneecap out when I was doing a cartwheel with no hands one time in dancing. So I've always I have to limit how much I dance weekly, how much I teach weekly, because I do have that forever injury there. But that's something I wish if I didn't have a bad knee, I would be in West African classes every week, but that stuff hurts.
Okay. All right. So with modern dancers, right? The people who have, come out in the last, I don't know, maybe 20 years, maybe even 30. I'm going to tell you who I like, right?
Yeah, tell me.
So to me, I like Sierra. I think Sierra, What do you think about Chris Brown? Where would you rank him?
I mean, as a dancer, I think he's a phenomenal dance artist. As a human being, as a capitalist, as a multimillionaire, you know, that's his own thing. But as a dancer, that's where he shines.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I like what they were doing too, and on the West Coast with the crumping.
Yeah,
You like that?
yeah. I love it. And at Kumbha Links, where I'm at right now, they do a lot of Chicago footworking. And I think that's also really cool because to me, footworking is a lot like tap dance too, you know?
Yeah. What's the and I don't want to mispronounce her name, but Normani?
Yeah.
I think she's real good. Like, I think right now and of course, obviously there are people out there that you don't know, but I'm saying, to me, from what I've seen at this point, for those that are out there that are like the singers,
right,
the dances that do both, I think she's the best right now.
Yeah.
To me.
I agree.
That I've seen that can do both.
Yeah.
And obviously there's probably people who they just dance, or we don't know them as doing both genres. But right now, I think that she's the best singer and dancer that's out there.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't debate you on that. I would not debate you.
So who are some of your people that you have on your list right now? Like males and female, like give us 3 of each, maybe 3 males, 3 women that you feel are out there right now that are like the top dancers out there.
Wow. All right. Top 3 women dancers. Judith from UK.
Okay.
She's an Afrobeats dancer, Judith Mambo. She's so good. Then I would also have to say women-wise, probably Tahi Drew. She is this dancer, and she's a Caribbean dancer, but you might have seen videos of her before. She does lots of winding of her hips and stuff, and she does a ton of isolations of her back. She does dancing in her headstand and all these certain things. I think she's phenomenal, and there's a lot of women trying to be like her on social media. And then there's also Stevana, and she's actually local here in Chicago. She's a dance and like contortion artist. I will send you some of her stuff. I just think she is like phenomenal. But I honestly, I really don't listen to a ton of mainstream music. A lot of the music that I listen to is from the Caribbean, since I do a lot of dance hall dance, and so that's like the artists I tend to follow.
Okay. So where do you see the future of dance right here in Chicago, as far as being a form of like outreach, where we will get the children more involved and using it to make them a little more conscious?
The first thing we just need are safe spaces and places. I've tried organizing dance classes outside before, but it's hard because I'm not trying to be funny. Like, you can't, especially, there's creepy people. Like, you can't just start dancing in the park without somebody bothering you and getting in your business. You know what I'm saying? So first and foremost, people need spaces and places where we can dance and be our full selves without having to worry who's watching us and stuff. And then beyond that, truthfully, I mean, I think like we need to be bringing people to dance studios. I don't know if you can offer shuttle services or something, but I would love to be offering dance classes that are focused on like self-empowerment and self-love. There's so much that you can do through dancing that encourages like loving yourself as opposed to degrading yourself. And I think that we can really emphasize that and foster within everybody a sense of, you know, self-purpose and self-pride through dance.
All right. So everyone, I'm Orion Meadows. We're on the PIC TV Network's Hello America TV show. I am with Sydney Jackson. We're going to go to a commercial break, and then we will conclude with our program today. So we'll see you when we get back.
We've all been hurt at some point, even abandoned. Many of us have done the hurting ourselves. We get to the point where we don't trust anyone, nor do we feel worthy of being loved by anyone. Then there's that one person who just doesn't give up on loving you. Their love is unconditional. Their love stays long enough for you to heal. And then they promise to never leave. That's love you can count on. God's love.
Today we are making a film about subverting stereotypes in cinema when it comes to Black people and the portrayal of Black people in television and film.
For me, widening the screen is basically taking a look at life in the middle for Black people, a normalization of Black life to allow people to see themselves in Black life.
We're going to embrace the whole culture. You know, once we start seeing different avenues and different spectrums, I feel like the boundaries get pushed.
It's always great when the cast and when our crew is representative of us. It's mostly, you know, a Black crew.
As the producer of the film, I primarily was responsible for coordinating a lot of the crew and talent that we hired for the production, from director to DP and our editor. And this is the first time in my career of almost 20 years of producing film that I've seen that.
Thank you again for watching Pick TV Network. Hello, America. Brother O, man, this was a special presentation today. People are going to be watching over and over, and we're going to have to get her to do some of her dancing, man, because she is amazing. Wow, to have Sydney to come on and to be a young lady to accomplish so much. Look like you just out of high school, you know? Look like you just, you know, beaming and a lot of love and support to you, you know, and I just enjoy it because I seen some of your footage. And those who are watching right now, if you could go to YouTube and see her do her thing on YouTube, it's amazing. You know, you guys need to go over there and run over there and see all of her special footage that she has. Brother, this is the queen, man. I want to thank you again. This is why you're gonna have the top awards, man. The Mega Award. Matter of fact, I gotta go get that and show it to you, man. And you know, you guys gonna get a special award for the community heroes, and also, man, the Gala Award. And we're so happy for you, man. Yes, this special young lady today has a special place, man, and amazing gift.
Yeah, and we're gonna have her at the Carruthers Center for Inner City Studies. We're having an event on December 9th, Northeastern Illinois University. We're gonna have a lot of different organizations coming through. The theme is Build to Heal. Just having all the different people who are doing wonderful work in the community come together and network. But also it's going to be very celebratory, and Sydney, she'll be accompanying us there and talking about the work that she's doing and how important it is.
Yeah, I enjoy her, man, just to be a young lady who has her degree, man, and doing great things for the community, man. And I didn't know it takes that much when you're talking about dancing, man, how much she had to put into it and tap dance. She broke that thing down, man.
Yeah.
To be able to do all genres of dancing and the people that she named, we had to do some video roll-ins of that, man. So we got to definitely get her back on. So, Brother O, man, this is another show, man, that you created live from Chicago, man. I want to give you a lot of love, man. Hosting shows. One of the persons who were running on our PIC TV network, public officials show that you had on, man, I believe he won.
Yeah, I know he had won the Democratic primary, and I know I saw that his name was on the ballot. So yeah, I got to check into that. I got to check into what actually happened when he was running against the Republican, the guy, whoever it was that's running for the Republican primary, or that won the Republican primary, I should say. But yeah, I definitely check into that. I haven't had a chance to talk to him, but I know that he had won the Democratic primary as a candidate.
Man, that's big for our network, man. Anytime you bring somebody on and they win the position, you know, we definitely had a couple of people you had on. You got to give some love out to some family members. It's the holiday season, so you got to give a shout out to some of Benny, man, and the crew, and some of those who've been on, going to be watching this show, man, your moms. Go ahead and shoot some love out, boss.
Yeah, well, definitely I want to show love to the Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Museum and the work that they're out there doing, just trying to provide the city with the information about the history of hip hop, and is right here in Chicago. And there's a lot of stuff that people don't know about our history here in Chicago as far as hip hop is concerned. So I want to give them a shout out. They show a lot of love to me when I got out of prison. And let me see who else. I mean, there are so many people that have been supportive of me since I've been out, you know. But that's one group that I definitely want to shout out.
Oh man, thank you, man, to your moms, to your family, everybody in Chicago. You know, Benny. Everybody knows Benny, man.
The whole poetry community as well. You know, out here we have a very there's a lot of talent here, but with the poetry community, it has been very supportive as well. You know, in places that I've gone. So I want to definitely shout out the Chicago poetry community as well.
Man, I want to say thank you, man, for winding up the show today. Amazing guests you got coming on. Upcoming shows, we're gonna have a poetry showcase Those who do poetry, this is the man right here to get in touch with. Brother O right there, that's the dude. He got a big poetry showcase popping off with us. Hello America. He's over the Prison Freedom Channel. If you ever want to come on, this is the man right here. Man, one of the brothers, man, the gangster from Jerusalem, man. We got so many sponsors, man. We got to get him back on for part 2, because the gangster from Jerusalem, man, he has one of the hottest. That was one of the biggest interviews we had, man, since you've been doing this thing.
Yeah, I actually talked to him yesterday too. It's funny that you mentioned his name because I talked to him yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So he's doing well. He's doing well.
Yeah. We got to get him on, man, to get him on the network is big for us, man. To have him to be a part of what we're doing. Amazing, man. And talk about for a minute, Brother O, the poetry showcase, man, and how we're going to put that together.
Oh yeah, definitely. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some of the great, wonderful poets out there come on our poetry showcase. They're going to talk about their work, and then some of them will even give you samples of what they do. So it's going to be big. And, I'm excited because I know so many poets who have so much to say, and they're very passionate about it. So it's my honor just to even put these people on this platform so that they can show the world what they're doing.
That's big, man. And I'm excited about it, man. Happy holidays. Those who are watching Hello America, our PIC TV Network Hello America show, live, Brother O, all from Chicago, beaming it in from Washington, D.C., that's Chicago. Oh, I want to say congratulations, man, on the special guest you had on. We got some more guests coming on real soon. Man, I don't know when you get any sleep, man. You used to be from New York, man, because you never sleep, man.
Yeah. Well, this weekend I have had a little rest, but I got like the next probably month or so is going to be real busy. But I this is what I get, or how I get my pleasure, by working hard and then being able to see the fruits of my labor, and just to even have people like Miss Jackson come on, to let people, to give them an opportunity to show people what they're doing and how important the work is. So even when I am not getting as much rest as I would like to, I'm rewarded by being able to see people get their work out there to the rest of the world, so people can see how passionate they are in doing good things that help other people. That's my reward. I get pleasure in that. So I don't look at it really as being a loss at all. But it's my gain to be able to even be in the same space with these people who are remarkably talented and passionate about giving to the world.
Man, I want to thank you, man. When people watching us from all over the world on the PIC TV network, and our audience in Brazil, France, Colombia, Mexico, Panama, Paris, Peru, Argentina, Egypt, Canada, Ireland, West Africa, United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, United States, all over, man. Through Roku, the #1 streaming device in the world, we able to beam this in. This little thing right here, man, this little Roku is all over the world. Millions of people have this device. Make sure to turn that up right. They have this device, and this allows us to be beamed around the world, through Roku. And I'm so proud of us being on PIC TV Network. They have the interpreters. They're the ones who are doing this when it comes to reaching the other countries. And we're blessed to be a part of something so big, man. And I want to thank you for hosting our shows, keeping our shows going, man, giving and supporting. And those who are watching right now, Brother O, somebody may want to say, man, how can I help? It's right above your head, bro. The QR code. There you go. Yeah, there you go, right there.
Right up there.
Support. Support.
Yeah, definitely support Pig TV Network so that we can continue to provide you with guests that have so much information that can educate us and give us insight. For instance, the young woman who was just on here, she accomplished a lot, but she knew a lot, and so she knew some things that I didn't even know, and that was good. It was informing me about some things that I knew, but I hadn't known as in depth as she had. That she knew, instead that she had provided us with. So if you want to have more shows like this, more programs where we're having our guests come on and being able to, tell you about some of the things in the world that aren't going on or that people don't know about or that they should know about, then support the Pig TV Network.
Yeah, this is what it's all about, folks. Supporting Pig TV. Scan that QR code. Brother O said, give your donation support. On Black Friday would be our 2nd anniversary. We have a big lineup of great people who will receive awards. We're talking about the big events we had throughout the year. It's going to be amazing. Top 20 book authors out here, Pig TV Network, top 10 commercials. It's going to be amazing. On Black Friday, you want to be a part of our 2nd anniversary, the Mega Awards, the Gala Awards, Community Hero Awards, popping on Black Friday right here. It's going to be the biggest night on television for us, and we're excited about it. All right, Brother O, man, until next time, we're going to sign out, say thank you to watching the Pig TV Network Hello America show, beaming it live from D.C. all the way to Chicago. And don't forget, folks, we'll see you on the next show. God bless.
Started pretending